What's good, you guys? It is Will here from Shadow Ascent, signing back in once again, coming at you with another video. One of my monthly or bi-monthly videos that I like to make on this channel. Just kind of talking about life. That's essentially what I like to do when it comes to these videos, is just sort of talk about where my mental state is, where I feel like I've been. And in my last video, I was on the coast. I was, for my job, working as a door-to-door salesman. The neighborhood I was working in was right by the beachside, and it was amazing working there and getting that crazy view. As time's gone along, I've started to realize that I don't necessarily love this job. A couple weeks after that I made that video, one of my coworkers got a gun pulled on him. And that certainly made me question the overall safety of such a position. But also, it's my first full-time job. I'm working for a corporation, and I just don't really think it's something that's suitable for me in the long term. I mean, when you're going up as a door-to-door salesman, you don't know who you're going to talk to when you're knocking on someone's door. You don't know if they're going to be nice and friendly. You don't know if they're going to be shy and awkward, or aggressive and hostile, or if they're going to have a weapon, if they're going to genuinely think you're trying to scam or rob them or threaten their well-being in some capacity. I've had positive and negative encounters with people. It's nothing too crazy for me, but doing it full time and kind of going up and having this pitch of like, hey, I'm Will, I'm with Optimum, so, like, doesn't really feel like not just me, but fulfilling. I want to do something with my life that feels fulfilling, that brings me joy when I wake up. And over time, I've started to kind of resent this job and waking up every day and going to do that. I understand that working full time is a borderline necessity if you're paying rent and you have a multitude of bills that you're trying to afford. I'm not trying to belittle that component of it, but my old job, I was just walking dogs, training dogs. And one thing about me is that I have a burning need, like it's a hunger for creativity. I always have to express that and tap into it in some way. Like, writing has been a big facet for me in art and creativity, as have these videos, content, doing something that is allowing me to express myself and put it out there. Although I'm here making this video with a job, I've still been able to write multiple times. I don't know. I feel like it's been tough because at times it's like, oh man, work is the only thing I even have the time to do. And exercise is also another thing alongside that burning passion for creativity, that is a hunger, that is something I need. Now, walking around during this job is something that I certainly get. I get like 15 to 20,000 steps in most days. That's pretty good. So I'm not complaining about that, but I want to be able to go to the gym. And look, if I really want something, I can do it. I can make the time. I'm not trying to sit up here and make excuses. The ultimate conclusion I can come up to is that I don't want to work this job. I like the last job I had, walking dogs, training dogs, because sometimes on our walks, right, like you get a chill dog, it's a nice day, I can just create one of these videos. I can sit down and reflect. I can do what you have more time and energy to focus on toward these other things. I'm not thinking about going up to someone's door and dealing with their negativity. A lot of times that's what you get. You're coming to their space. I mean, naturally they're going to be inquisitive and uncertain and not feeling all that comfortable with you being there. Depending on the individual, they can express that in more chill manners, or they can be blunt and frustrating to deal with. Over the last year, life has kind of leveled up for me. It felt like suddenly when 2024 came around, like it took me to another level. I immediately met someone who is now my girlfriend, right? A woman that I fell in love with. And at first, this is being my first relationship, I had to kind of overcome past trauma from not relationships, but the feeling of starting to grow a genuine connection and feeling like a crush, so to speak, on somebody, and building that over time and feeling like, oh, I'm getting somewhere, and then being ghosted. You know, that was something that I had to face and I had to deal with. And also much of what I've mentioned on this channel about addiction and lust and things like that, now culminating into a relationship over time, there was a lot that I had to face and confront and deal with and admit even to myself and my girlfriend. And so the beginning of last year when we met, it was great, it was awesome, but it was also terrifying and scary and different. And adapting to that change took time. And within that, there was also us moving out. She had to finish up college, and for the first time in both of our lives, we were going to be moving out of our parents' home, the places that we had grown up and lived our entire lives. And that was scary. You know, that was a major step that once we realized was forthcoming in the next few months of last year. Let's say it happened in July, but like when we realized we were moving in March and April, there was suddenly this looming sense of like uncertainty. I don't know how this is going to go. I've never done this before, and my time here is running low, being back in my old hometown. And you know, then suddenly we move and trying to grow accustomed to that change. It's like this is something that I was never familiar with as a kid. I never really had to deal with much change. I often had a lot of stability in my life with my parents and the way I grew up. And so now I'm trying to recognize and accept and fully embrace the fact that life does not just stay on this one path. It veers in ways that are least expected. And that is something that I felt like within the latter half of last year, I kind of began to accept and reflect upon quite frequently. And I kind of regained that connection with myself through working out, through creative habits like I was mentioning. But I didn't have a job for a long time. And now suddenly, as this year starts, 2025 begins, I start a new job, my first full-time position. And adapting to those hours and that lifestyle has been a major obstacle, a hurdle for me. And I'm still trying to grow accustomed to it. Now, we are planning on moving back to our hometown. We're gonna be living away from our parents, but closer to home, which is gonna be nice to go back to the place we grew up. And I'll probably get my past job back, but be working more than I was. I'll be working full time. And it's, like I said, it's another change that we gotta go through. And this full-time job's a big change. And it's weird because 2 weeks from basically 2 weeks from now, I'll be turning 25. And that age, that number, I know age is just a number, but that specifically throws me off a little bit because it's like, wow, 25. That's not old, but I guess it's the striking realization or the settling in mentally of, wow, I'm not a kid anymore. Sure, over the past few years, I've realized, oh yeah, I'm a man, I'm an adult now, but it's a long process. And it's a large amount of time that it takes for that to fully settle in. And before you know it, right, I'm gonna be getting close to 30 years old. And it's crazy to think about all of this. Like 25, you know, I'm about to be 25, and that's so young in the grand scheme of things. But still, it almost feels like a milestone in life. And it's all about perspective and how you look at it. Because I know much of this, I'm talking about some of the things that maybe I am struggling with or that I would rather have be a little different. Like I don't love my job right now. And all the change, it's been uncomfortable. But I'm also looking to embrace the challenge that it is. Life has leveled up because it's a pressure that I've earned. It's growth that has accumulated over a span of years and time that has led to me being in this position where new challenges have been bestowed upon me, like moving out and being in a relationship and trying to manage a full-time job and the work-life balance. It's a lot of adulthood or adulting that I'm not accustomed to. To be honest with you guys, I've always been slightly rebellious towards societal norms and expectations of getting older, getting a college degree, getting married, having kids, working 40 to 50 years of your life in the same job. Or not because that can't bring certain people happiness or financial gain, security, and things like that. Not because that isn't almost a inevitable reality for a lot of people in life, but because it doesn't feel fulfilling or bring a level of peace. And I guess like in working a couple months full time, obviously that's not enough of a span to be like certain on how I feel, but I've at least realized that like what does truly matter to me, and that is the people I love the most, you know, my girlfriend, my friends, and my best friends and family, the people I hold dearest. And the things that I love to do are writing, making videos, hiking, exercising, right? Like going to the gym. I love sports. I enjoy video games, and I get that a lot of these may sound like hobbies, but there's a need. Like I've been saying, there's that hunger. It's a need to have the time and energy to be doing that stuff. And not just doing that stuff, but focusing. Recently, I've had a hard time focusing because I'm at work and I'm like, oh man, we have 5 hours left in the day. Okay, how am I gonna get through these 5 hours? Oh, well, you know what? I'm probably only gonna be in this job for a couple more months. How am I gonna get through these couple of months? How's it gonna go when we move back? How's it gonna go, you know, the remainder of the year and all the other things that are gonna be going on? And it's an adjustment period, you know, and I think I'm kind of realizing that it's okay for me not to have all the answers right now. For me to not be in a genuine state of mind, of peace and understanding. Because sometimes it just takes a period of months, of weeks, days, and maybe even years. Like all those things I mentioned going through when just getting into a new relationship. It took me until like roughly the end of the year to really reflect and unpack everything and unpack all the change and how it came to be and why we're in this position that we were in, you know, at the latter half of last year and now this year. Okay, I've got this new job. I don't know if I'm feeling great about it. My mental health has been a little bit shaky, and I'm trying to like kind of make sense of everything. But maybe right now that's not what I'm supposed to do. Maybe right now I'm just supposed to embrace this challenge. You know, the biggest thing about last year was that I needed a job. And the ironic aspect of all of this is that when I got the job, it was when my bank account was at its lowest, dude. I was fucked if I didn't have a job for like the next month. And so I'm grateful for that. And I have to be grateful for this opportunity. I do like my boss and my coworkers, and there's aspects of the job that I like. Okay, so I got to embrace those things. I have to be grateful and understanding that all of the difficulties and that plays the role of the antagonist in my story and your story in the collective human species is a necessity. And every time in your life there's something going on there, right? It's always how it is. In everyone's life there's something that they want to work on or fix or figure out. And that's just the difficulties, that's just the challenge, but also the beautiful aspect of life as well is how strikingly vulnerable we are as creatures. I guess I'll close it out here. I don't want to ramble or go on for too long, but it's good to update you guys. And all things considered, yeah, I'm not doing bad by any means, but I have at least had a bit of a mental struggle and a roadblock, and I'm trying to balance and find how I can manage a hefty work schedule, but also prioritize my life. And I know this is something a lot of people go through, but it's like a more deeper lens or look into it that I think is important to discuss. So thank you guys as always for tuning in. If anyone made it this far, I appreciate you guys, and much love. Will from Shadow Ascent.